See if this will work today. I think it's working today. I think I'm live on YouTube, y'all. Look. We are live on YouTube and Instagram. Wow, hello. Hi, guys. I'm so excited that you guys are able to come in on today. I'm super excited. If you watched the chat from our live last week, you know we were having some issues with YouTube. And so the stream just went live on YouTube. So I'm excited to just go ahead and get started, right? Tech is such a journey. So y'all let me know what you think about technology and all that we have to go through. So I don't know if you guys saw all of the promotion for the lives today, but if you have your journals, how many of you have your journals? Put a one in the chat if you have it. I have my Spillman journal today. As you can see, I wrote out my notes in my Spillman journal. I keep several journals at a time, right? And I brought the one where I do a lot of my personal inner work in. You know, I give you guys prompts and prayers and affirmations. And so a lot of the stuff that I share with you has been created in a journal. So this is my own personal work journal. And so, but today I am teaching. So I put my notes in one of my business journals. So I kind of just keep track of various things that I have to do, whether it's with the law or either with the EYE trainings. I keep a separate journal for all of my activities on top of my calendar. So it's sometimes it's a little bit to manage, but I don't know how y'all do with organization, but if it's not organized for me, it's like a nightmare, right? It's a nightmare. So let's go ahead and get started. Today's topic is very juicy and it's very fun. It's entitled The Characteristics of Highly Feminine Women, right? And I wanted to start our conversation off today actually with a question. And the question that I wrote out was, when you look around in your everyday life, what do you notice about the women in your life? Okay. And I want you to think about your mom. I want you to think about your sister. If you're a man, because sometimes a lot of men will rewatch my videos. I want you to think about your lover, your wife, your girlfriend. If you're dating, the women that you're dating, and in the chat, just let me know, like, what are some of the characteristics that you're noticing about the women that are in your life. And if you're a female, of course, look at yourself, because all of this is about us moving from girl to grown woman. It's about how does a woman really like take hold of her own life and move her life from one journey and one stage of her journey into the next. How is she really bringing forth like the best version of herself or the better versions of herself, based off of what her own desires are. So you guys know I am very big on like, these need to be your desires, right? It has to be what you want to do. And when a woman is living a life that isn't what she really wants, then we get all kind of issues with that, right? We're not happy. We're not really fulfilled. We don't feel fulfilled. It doesn't matter what you achieved or accomplished, and it doesn't matter who you're married to. If your own innate desires are not filled, then you are going to struggle, right? And so in the chat, I want you to type like, how are these women looking? Like, right, the women in your life, are they looking refreshed? Are they looking happy? Are they looking very sorrowful or sad? Are they looking overworked? What do you notice about how what do they sound like? Are they more positive? Are you surrounded by more positive women? Are the women really negative in your life? Are they just there, meaning that they don't have any animation or they're not alive at all? They just kind of exist, right? So I want you to put that in the chat, what you notice about yourself or what you notice about the women in your life. And as we begin our discussion of the characteristics of highly feminine women, right? The first thing is, I said I wanted to start as we get into the lesson. I wanted to start with a statement, and I wrote it out. And the statement is, femininity at its core is about a woman's energy, right? So femininity at its core is about your energy or your presence. And your presence is everything. It's pretty much the atmosphere that's set when you walk into a room, right? It's what people feel when they are around you. Do they feel empowered, uplifted, inspired? or do they feel drained, exhausted? do they do they feel like they've encountered someone with a bad attitude, et cetera, et cetera? But at the end of the day, femininity, in terms of the characteristics of highly feminine women, that statement is about your energy ultimately as a woman. And so for me, I personally like literally coach my own soul, if that makes sense, because your presence is about the parts of you that people cannot see, right? You of course see my hair, the makeup, the necklaces, the earrings. I got on my little dangly earrings today, you guys. So you may see the external things, but the truth of the matter is femininity in its core, in its purest form, is about the things you cannot see, right? And so I am my own coach when it comes to my soul, right? I am consistently coaching myself when I come into a situation or an environment and people are like, oh, it's a negative environment or it's a positive environment. I am consistently deciding how I want to show up and what presence I want to carry, right? And I think that each woman, as she matures, you understand that you are responsible for that. So we have some key points and we have some key takeaways that I really want you guys to note and take away. And so we're going to have 4 points that we make in today's live, and I will have stories around some of these points because I think stories help us capture the lessons a bit better, and it also gives us the opportunity to learn each other so that I'm not the person who is just up here talking like, oh, she's never lived this. Like, I navigate these so many difficult and complex situations on a daily basis as a highly feminine woman. So today we're going to talk about the top 3 traits of a highly feminine woman who is on top of her game, right? You're on it, you're killing it, you're doing what you need to do, and you've preserved your feminine energy as a woman. We're also going to talk about how to remain playful, fun, and energetic even while you're building an empire. So as you guys can see, I'm in my office on today, and I'm in the conference space in my office. And so at the end of the day, it requires that I'm all over the place sometimes while I'm building, right? I'm on flights, I'm in the office, I'm at home. But even while I'm doing these things and building out the vision that I see for myself, even while we're growing our bank accounts and increasing our financial resources, how do we remain like playful and fun and just really enjoying each other, right? We're also going to talk about the art of being a safe woman at work, but also a desirable woman in your home, because there are a lot of people who, at the end of the day, like, you are really trying to figure out how you want to take your life to the next level, but you also know that you're doing this in a way where you have obligations at work. You don't want your femininity to send the wrong message, but you also want to be able to make sure that that is available to you in your home, to your children, to your husband, to your spouse, etc. And then the last one is we're going to talk about male leadership and highly feminine women and how you can be both a feminine wife and a money making woman. Okay, so if that sounds good to you, IG, you guys put something in the chat. I know YouTube, we're building out our lives, so you guys can get used to me coming in to the lives, but we are going to have a good time with this discussion, right? So let's get into the traits and let's get into the juiciness with our stories. So top 3 traits of a highly feminine woman. Okay. Number 1, highly feminine women receive well. Now, when I say receive well, I mean a highly feminine woman receives good things very well, right? So she receives compliments well. She receives gifts well. In her business, if she's navigating business, she's not afraid to talk about money. She's able to receive money very well. She's able to receive her lover, right? So if you're in a romantic relationship with someone, you're able to receive the good things that they want to do to you or do for you. Femininity, one of the top traits of highly feminine women is that we are really good at receiving. People want to keep giving us stuff because they're like, I just like It's really fun to give to her. She's super grateful. She is the type of person where I don't assume that people want something from me. When they give me something, I'm very confident in my ability to judge character. And so if I sense someone is kind of doing a tit for tat with giving, I'm gonna send that back, like let you know or address it and be like, hey, well, I really appreciate this gift. I just wanted to make sure this is like free and clear, right? So, feminine women, we receive well, and we have been through enough circumstances with the tit for tat whereby we can address it in a very tactful way without losing our appeal as a woman, right? Like, I don't have to have a bad attitude in order to address something difficult in the relationship, right? And so when we talk about receiving, I know for me that has been a whole journey, right? Type in a one in the chat if it's been a journey for you to really learn how to receive well. Um, I grew up being the oldest child in a single parent home. And so it was about a lot of doing, right? There was a lot of work. There were four children in the home, including myself and then my mom. So a home of five, it was always something to do. And so I grew up kind of always giving, right? Always giving. Hey, Crystal, or hey, Key, how are you? I want to come on in. You guys are coming in and out as lunch happens. So I just want to say hello. But at the end of the day, I grew up being a big giver. And I recognized probably I had to be about 25 with law school and different things like that. And I really was like, I struggle with accepting, I struggle with receiving, right? And a lot of times I call that your slave girl mentality, where you've been working so hard, right, on everything that you've been doing, you've forgotten how to sit back and really appreciate, really receive what other people are trying to give to you, because everyone isn't necessarily trying to take from you. I also heard one of my mentors put it like this. She talked about just in general, if you struggle, like if you're an overgiver, a lot of times you will look at people and think that they're taking from you. You'll label it the wrong thing. No, they're not taking, they're just receiving all that you're giving, right? And so I learned how to like really adjust my giving, right? Because femininity, absolutely, we do nurture, we do nourish. That's a part of our being as well. But the thing that separates highly feminine women from women that are not perceived to be as feminine is how you receive, not how you give. The second trait of highly feminine women is that I would say is the art of surrendering. Okay, and so I know that sometimes these topics can be triggering. I'm not trying to trigger you. You guys know I have a lot of love for this work and what I do. I love seeing women flourish, right? So I'm not trying to trigger you. But one thing that I have absolutely observed in my own personal improvement journey, and as I am growing as a woman, because this work is never done, okay? I am always growing. You're hopefully always growing and investing in yourself. But the art of surrender with a lot of women is very hard. And so, what do I mean when I say surrender? I mean, when you make a move, when you do something, you don't hold on to it for dear life to try to make it what you want it to be, right? When you are mothering your children, when you are wifing your husband, or if you're dating, when you are with the men that you're dating or your lover, you're not holding on for dear life trying to make them do something. You have this air of surrender. You have told the children, your family, your friends, your man, whoever, like, hey, this is what I'd enjoy. And your word is enough, right? You say what you mean, and they know you mean what you say, and you allow them to navigate, what they need to navigate while you remain in a surrendered place. This is also very true for my ladies who are working outside of the home and you're working in the workforce. You have your own businesses or you have your own job. At the end of the day, you cannot control your customers, your bosses, your coworkers. You can't control these people. And so, what I've learned about women who have a very, very highly feminine nature is that we're good at surrender, right? And we let go. We let go. Some people say let go and let God. We let go. Okay. Even if you don't believe in God, what we do is we let go, because when you don't let go, you're inviting things to come and drag you, right? You are inviting other people and their energy and their foolishness to take you and drag you to wherever they're going. And feminine women don't do well with that, right? We don't do well with something dragging us. We do well. Thank you. You said great point, Key. Yes, yes. We don't do well with that, right? No, you can't drag me over there. I'm not going that way, right? As a feminine woman, I have my goal set. I have the energy and the vibe that I'm wanting to come to the table with. I have the presence that I want to maintain. You're taking me somewhere that I don't want to go. So we let them know, and then we surrender. We let go and we move on about our business, because we have other things that we have to do as feminine women. A vast majority of the time, those people come back around. They come back around and they see that you're not a girl. If you remember the clip that we promoted this with, it's from girl to grown woman. They'll recognize you're not a girl. You're not going to be drugged anywhere, and they have to come back around and begin to move with respect to you. The third trait I would say is that feminine women are very light, and we when you come into our presence, you feel an expansion. Okay, so what do I mean by that? In a highly feminine woman's presence, you have room to breathe. Okay, you have room to breathe. In our presence, you're not going to get all the chaos. You're not going to get chaos when you come into Lindasha's presence. You're going to get clarity. You're going to get fun. You're going to be playful. We're going to laugh. I'm going to joke. I'm going to joke. Of course, if we're not in something serious, if I'm advising a legal client on a very serious matter, then of course we're appropriate. I may not joke there, but in general, you're going to be able to experience the lightheartedness of femininity, the thing that we enjoy when we see little girls playing and they're just out jumping rope or playing with dolls and creating. That very light energy is something that a grown woman keeps, even as she has maneuvered through life. You will not feel constricted or diminished in our presence. We won't tear you down. We're not telling you you're not worth nothing. Those things don't come out of our mouths. Regardless of what we see about your life or whether we agree with how you're living or not, we won't necessarily big facts. Yes, big facts. We're not doing that. Like we are, if that's how you want to roll, okay, that's back to the surrendered part. It's not my job. I'm not your mother, right? I'm not your mother. I may be your auntie, your cousin, your friend. I'm not your mother. And even if I am your mother, after a certain age, if that's what you want to do, okay, surrender. So we're light, we're expanding. You feel greater after you leave the presence of a highly feminine woman. You feel more valuable, and you just feel more expanded. You feel like you can conquer the world, right? Highly feminine women are a great source of inspiration, specifically to men, right? We are to our families as well, especially our nuclear families, our children, but we're definitely a great, great source of inspiration for men, and also a great source of motivation for men. And that is one of the reasons why I think you have to be careful about how you navigate those three traits. So that's our first key point. If you missed any of those, I will make sure that this replay goes back up so you can take your notes. Okay. Point number two that we wanted to talk about in today's live was about how to remain playful, fun, and energetic, even as you're building an empire, even as you're growing your bank accounts, and even as you're increasing your financial resources, right? I, as a woman that has worked outside of the home pretty much my entire life, I've been working since I was 16, right? I wasn't a woman that was groomed to be like a stay-at-home wife or mom or whatever else. The women in my family work outside of the home. You guys know I'm an attorney by trade. I own my own law firm. And so I'm a healthcare lawyer. I'm a business lawyer for physicians, and I am building an empire, right? I am building a business. Well, I'm building the business out first, and eventually the empire will come as we continue to add things to it. But how then does that woman remain playful and fun in the other parts of her life? Because we all know there can be a lot of stress that comes with business and work. It just is what it is. For this point, I had one thing that I wanted to share with you guys. And A lot of women struggle with this, but the point is I rest. Okay? It's not magical. I rest. I literally build rest into my schedule. So, for instance, after I do lives or after I am literally like doing anything like sort of in my masculine energy whereby I'm having to teach, I'm having to, negotiate a deal, I'm having to speak to clients, I make sure that I embed rest after that. So this afternoon, my schedule will be pretty much clear besides answering emails or if a new client calls, addressing them, right? The rest of my evening will be built towards putting back into myself. I may meditate. I may, get one of my favorite playlists and put it on and dance. Today is Wednesday, so I'm resting today from working out, but I would also schedule a cardio class. So like yesterday, my cardio class was what I did to put into myself. Even though the cardio isn't necessarily rest, it is something that I've done for me. And I count rest as the stillness portion, but I also count rest as the things that I do to keep myself together. Hair, nails, toes, working out, eating healthy, drinking my water. I have my water right here. I should drink some. While we're here, while I'm talking, look, let me see. I try not to drink it. I was like, I'm gonna mess up my lipstick. But anyway, um, rest and getting out of our addiction to being slave girls, right? If you are literally coming from certain backgrounds in this country, then you may know what I mean. Like if you grew up in poverty, or if you grew up in many African American communities that did not have a lot of wealth or resources, then you know the slave girl very well. And when you bring your slave girl work addiction to your life, one of the first things you're robbed of is your femininity, and you are robbed of that higher quality of femininity, right? High value, high quality femininity needs rest. We need to put back into ourselves. It is what it is, right? So that's the note that I had about that. And when you rest, then you can reconnect with your playful, your fun, and your energetic, the energetic parts of yourself much easier, right? Because you're not tired. You're not tired. So from there, if you have any questions, also make sure you put it on. I'm trying to look. Rest is definitely paramount. Yes, rest is definitely paramount. Sit down, girl. Sit down. Rest. Rest. Someone will do it. It will get done. I promise you. If you take your hands off of it, watch how people will figure it out. And I'm saying that from personal experience. I had to sit down. They'll figure it out. You don't have to lose your under eye, right? You're losing your beauty. You're losing your beauty. Sit down. Sit down. We already are getting older. I know me, I'm getting older. And so I was like, I get pimples randomly. I have a pimple now that I'm like, oh, it came here. But I'll go to my esthetician. I'll schedule an appointment with her and I'll say, hey, just add some extra pimples. Once you come, make sure to do my face and keep all that together. And then that's a part of my rest, right? As you are maturing, you have to take care of these things. Sit down. It's let the younger kids rip and run and do all of that stuff. Let a man, men have all of that masculine energy. They want to do things for you. Sit back, it'll get done. That's another lesson. Okay. So, number 3, the art of being a safe woman at work, but a juicy and desirable one at home. This is a really good characteristic of um, um, highly feminine women, right? Highly feminine women are safe. We are safe women, right? And when I say safe women, I don't mean that we don't take risk, right? So whenever I am putting money into the stock market, or right now I'm looking to buy another real estate property, it's a pretty big purchase that's coming up that I hope to close on by the end of next year. Um, there's so much risk involved specifically in those, in some of those transactions that I I have to be ready for that, right? I have to have a team of people help me analyze the risk to make sure it's worth it in terms of the reward that I'm looking to gain. So when I say being a safe woman, I don't mean that you don't have places such as in your business or with your money where you are leveraging your money in order to get to the next level of multiplication, right? I mean that your presence is safe. I mean that when you go to work, people don't have to worry about you going to HR 24/7 when you feel uncomfortable. If you need to go to HR on something serious, okay, no one's knocking that because we all understand things happen in the workplace. But there are women who it's like, girl, somebody just said good morning to you and you're ready to go to HR because you're so triggered. You have personal issues. That's not on men or women because a lot of individuals go to HR on both with crazy issues, right? Um, you're triggered and you need some work. When I say we're safe emotionally. We know how to go to work. We have proper boundaries. If you missed my conversation about boundaries, if you missed that conversation about boundaries yesterday, or excuse me, last week, go back and watch it. Healthy women set, excuse me, highly feminine women set healthy boundaries, not rigid boundaries where nobody can get in because you so triggered or you're so triggered, you're technically building walls, right? We're not talking about rigid boundaries that no one can, we don't know how to get to you because every way is walled off. That is an unhealthy form of boundaries that Nidra Twa talks about in her book. And I have it somewhere over here, at least I thought I did. It's not within my arm's reach, but I do have it today. But it's by Nidra Tawab. I'll try to remember to link it here. And it's called Set Boundaries and Find Peace. If you struggle with boundaries, that is your book, okay? That is your book. Because she talks about the difference between healthy boundaries, rigid boundaries, which is what I described. And she also talks about porous boundaries. Porous boundaries are pretty much when you don't have boundaries. Which one are y'all? How many of you, where do you think you fall with your boundaries? I know for me, in doing work in Nidra's book, I learned that it depended on the topic. In some areas, I was super rigid, and in some areas, I was porous. I was like, oh, girl, I ain't got, like, what, girl, I need more boundaries in this area. I'm asking, people are running amok, and I need to figure out what are my limits so that this can remain healthy. But in general, as a woman, I've always exercised boundaries in my life. I really have. I tell my friends and I laugh about this because we talk about this all the time. And I'll tell them, I got in the boundary line. Some people got in the grace line when God was giving out characteristics for us. Some people got in the grace line and they can tolerate a lot of foolishness. I got in the boundary line. Okay. So my boundaries would tend to be more rigid, which is still unhealthy, than porous, but I did have key areas where my boundaries were too porous. And so I had to bring them back into health. But in a healthy boundary is basically, oh, excuse me, excuse me, excuse me. Healthy boundaries are basically when you have something that you want to protect, like your aura, your presence, your energy, your vibe, however you guys want to describe it, your atmosphere. When you want to protect the atmosphere that you're setting, you have to put it in basically like you have to put boundaries around it, like almost like it is a container of sorts. And when you put those boundaries around it, though, you need to leave open windows and doors so that people know how to relate to you. So it's just basically articulating how I'm teaching you how you should relate to me. You know what I'm saying? I'm not closing myself off where you can't have a relationship with me, but I am saying yes and no to the various things that, I want in my experience in life. So number 3 is the way that you become a safe woman at work is you have those healthy boundaries. But a desirable and juicy woman at home, that's where your desirable juiciness goes, right? So highly feminine women come across as very, very desirable in social environments, right? We make friends very easily. I have so many friends, right? Some of which may be watching this, some of them I haven't talked to in a while, some of them I talk to every day, but I have a huge community of friends. Why? Because I'm a safe woman. You don't have to worry about me trying to take your man. I'm not out here trying to be you. The jealous thing is not in my spirit. We not moving like that. I don't have the time or the energy. I'm too busy living out my life. I want the sister circle to be strong, right? I want my sister circle to be safe, which we have a lot of healing within women and femininity that we have to do. But that's very important to me, right? So out of 7 billion men or 7 billion people, half, I think a little bit less than half are men. Um, why would I take one of my closest friends, men, right? My friends know them, those are my brothers, off limits, right? They literally go into the category of my brothers once you have, gone your way. But a lot of women don't have those type of boundaries. So where I save my juicy desirableness is for my private home, for the man that you are dating, or the man you are loving or courting, or the man that you are married to. That's where all my juiciness goes, right? I love my sister circle. Yes, I love my sister circle. You need women to literally strengthen even the topic we're talking about, which is highly feminine women. Other women have to come along. If you are the only isolated woman in your group, you probably aren't you probably don't have a high vibe of femininity, because highly feminine women need other women. We breed feminine energy. It'll keep growing and being a beautiful thing with the presence of other women. My friendships, my sisters, they strengthen my femininity. They need to be with, right? I don't acquiesce to all that other stuff. I don't like women. No, I love women. I need women in my life. But you need safe women who take their juiciness to the house and their desirableness to the house. And so we are almost done. The last point was point number 4, about the characteristics of highly feminine women. And highly feminine women, I wanted to talk about male leadership and the highly feminine woman. And you can be both a feminine wife, girlfriend, and date. Like if you're in the process of finding or being found by your husband, and you're dating, you can be a highly feminine date, or of course, woman, a highly feminine fiance, a highly feminine. I don't the girlfriend thing, y'all. We too old for that. Amen. What is a girlfriend at this age? That was kind of juvenile, right? I don't personally believe in creating soul ties and weird stuff around being somebody's girlfriend at this age, but to each woman her own. But I will say a feminine wife. I wouldn't say be a feminine girlfriend. Don't tie your key years up with a man who may not be ready to commit but wants to hold a title or space in your life. No, we can continue to date, but you don't have claim over me until you're my fiance, right? So I wanted to talk about male leadership and the highly feminine woman, and how you can be both a feminine woman, wife, fiance, and a money making woman, right? When it comes to male leadership, there are two things that I want you to think about. I want you to approach the men in your life from a very mindful place and a place of deep awareness, right? Meaning, many men, when you kind of look over your life, you can put men into one of two, maybe three categories. That man was either a balm to you, something that was healing to you, something that was satisfying to you, something that was juicy and desirable and good to you, right? It was like the good Campbell soup good, right? He was a balm, BALM, or he was a bomb, a BOMB, meaning like an explosion to your presence, right? And she said, "That's a word. You will not monopolize my time." Hello, sis. No, sir. No, sir. You will not monopolize my time. I am dating. I am on the market. Okay. You do have this time. I do enjoy our company, but you're not about to put me in that girlfriend dead end zone. It's a dead end space after a certain age, y'all. You got to watch it. Watch. Okay, you need to remain open for the man that wants to commit to you in that way, or can commit to you in that way. Otherwise, keep them as friends. If y'all don't date, you still have friendship available as well. Maybe, if they're a colleague or something that was interested, they wanted to move from the business world into a personal, you may test it. But, there are other places you can put men, but don't let them monopolize your time when you're looking for a husband now. Or excuse me, you're looking to be found by a husband, because I don't think you should be looking to see whose proposal you should accept. That's what I say, looking for one, but not going out and hunting, right? That's opposite of our receiving energy, not hunting. And so I had to clarify that, y'all. But either way, back to the part, a man is either a bomb or a bomb to your presence, right? Some men are neutral, and you just the way. But you have to be very, very mindful when it comes to male leadership. Which energy are you receiving from that man? Because the man that you want to continue to have a friendship with, a romantic relationship with, even your brothers, like all of this, right? Any man in your life, you want to move further with the men who are a balm to you, BALM. They are healing to your energy. They are in their divine masculine. They are protecting you. They are providing for you. They are caring for you. They are leading you to a good place. You're like, oh, okay. So, like, my brother, he lives in North Carolina, and he just surprised me this week. I think it was like Sunday. He texted me. He's like, yo, I'm coming to Atlanta. I want to take you out to breakfast, right? That's my brother, but he's a man in my life. And you thinking about taking your sister on a breakfast date, people don't get that. So that's more of a divine, he was moving in his like divine masculinity when he did that. And so we got up this morning, had a wonderful breakfast, and we were able to do that. It was funny. I was just telling a friend about it this weekend that he did it a few months ago and surprised me and was like, hey, I want to take you out to dinner. And we were both about an hour apart. I was there on work, and he lives an hour from Columbia, we're of course from South Carolina. He was like, I want to take you to, Hall's restaurant and to take you out to lunch. And so he took me out to that dinner. He picked the location, all of that stuff. That is a male who happens to be my brother, but it's very divine. He's a balm, BALM, a healing place in my life. I think you should be careful too, right? Because men have to go through their own growth process. And I know this will be a little bit longer of a live, you guys. So I hope you enjoy it. Taking notes, get you some popcorn. But one thing I will say is, like, of course, this is my brother, so I've seen his whole journey, right? They haven't always been at the bomb stage. They have to mature. They have to go through their own process from boy to man, just like we have to go from girl to grown woman. And so when my brothers, I have three, you guys know that, were in their bomb stages, sis put up some boundaries around them. Like, you got to blow up my presence. I love you, but you're doing too much, right? And so I put up those boundaries to give them room to grow. And as they've grown, it's like, okay, we can extend the circle because you mature in a certain way. And I like what you're bringing to the table. So I think that, you know, we have to just be mindful of where the maturity of men are when it comes to male leadership, because men who have that bomb presence are the ones that can lead you in certain areas. And there are 5 areas that you need to check a male's leadership. One of the biggest ones as a woman is you need to check how well he is as an emotional leader. Many men fall way short in that area because they don't process their emotions a lot. Especially if you're a Black woman or a woman of color, you have to understand what we come from slavery and Jim Crow and a lot of the other things that Black men don't feel comfortable doing it. Well, that makes them sometimes emotionally immature. But as a woman, I'm very sensitive to that. So I need you to work on that and work on getting your emotions to a positive place so that you can lead me in that way. So that's just my caveat there. In terms of men in general, some thoughts for your notes, and then I will be done. First is examine if the man is healthy, as if is he a healthy man. The number one sign to me, or one of the top signs for a healthy man, is that he leads me to a good place. He leads me to a good destination. When I get done, I feel good after dealing with him. I'm like, oh, okay, that's a healthy man. If you don't, amen, he may not, but that's for anybody, okay? The next one is, in general, when I am around men who are capable of leading, they have shown me that they're healthy, they're divine, they're in that divine masculinity. I fall into my feminine energy and my feminine nature as a woman. That means I yield to them, right? I'm not going to overstep my brothers. I'm not overstepping my brothers or my cousins or any of the men in my life, my husband, my friends, my colleagues. If we are in a business transaction and I'm negotiating a deal for my client, then of course I'm in my more masculine energy. There's not difference there. We're trying to settle a deal. We're trying to negotiate. That's not even on the table in the business realm. When you're talking specifically my work as a lawyer, we're finishing a deal. But when it comes to my personal life, I'm deferring, right? When it comes to social settings, I'm deferring generally to the healthiest man. If there are no healthy men in that environment, either I'm not there, or if I am there, I tend to take a more leadership role and make sure that the destination is good and move on about my life. The other thing is I let the men who are healthy set the direction and the pace, right? I give an invitation to enter. Yes, I'll go to breakfast with you. Yes, you could take me out to eat. Yes, X, Y, and Z. But I let them set the pace and the direction, and then I just either give the invitation or I yield to their actions if I'm comfortable with what they're doing. Okay. So this was a bit longer of a live, but I hope you guys got a lot of notes. We are going to be pre-selling the full course, right? This is just a preview of the femininity course that we're adding in December. In December, yes, we're adding it in December to my online school. I don't know how many modules will be in the whole course, but it's going to be nice. So keep watching on social. If you don't follow me on Instagram, if you don't follow me on Instagram, we post a lot there. My team does a lot of that posting, and we are really just trying to continue to build out stuff that you guys want. If you have any questions, put them in the chat. And YouTube, thank you. If anybody came in, I'm not really sure. I can't tell yet on YouTube. It's new, the live on YouTube. So thank you guys. Take care. Bye, y'all.